Oh, this is Biblical Tarot, and I'm back with another video. And this is a reading for my friend, and she wants to know how person A is doing. Now, this tarot reading is not telling or forecasting the future. It's telling what is in the now, and it's also giving the message. So my readings don't divine the future, but it tells what is. Well, this is a 5-card reading. It's actually a 3-card reading, with one card being the bottom of the deck and the bottom card being an extra card thrown in as kind of an oracle. And we start from the left with Judgment. That was the first card we got. And the Judgment card is ill-dignified because it comes before the 8. Okay? Usually Judgment in my readings, when they're not ill-dignified, it's when it comes at the end. Because a judgment is at the end. You want your judgment to be at the end, not in the beginning. So, Judgment ill-dignified is a little bit of stagnation, self-doubt, and poor logic. Hasty decisions. Not rising to the call of whatever is calling you to rise. Because as you see, the people in the card are rising to the trumpet call. So this person has a trumpet calling them, sounding the alarm for them to walk through the fire. But some people just cannot walk through the fire. You know, it hurts them too much. They feel like they can't get through it. But to turn to gold, you have to walk through the fire and be refined. Okay? He's being called to get rid of the old and to bring in the new. And at this moment in time, everybody is getting this call, this trumpet, this alarm to shed the old skin and bring the new skin in, or the new system. Okay? The second card is Strength. And I just wanted to say, for the first card, the element is fire. Judgment is one of the mother letters, which is the letter Shin. And that's a Hebrew letter. And Shin means a tooth. And it also represents fire. And it also represents the Holy Spirit, which is fire. And it consumes. And it will consume a person if they are not trying to be honest and get right with themselves. There's kind of like a hesitation, or a not wanting to be wrong. So, kind of like not humbling oneself to the truth. They rather stay blind. And when that happens, the fire will consume you. It will burn you alive. And the second card is Strength, which is Leo, which is also a fire element. And within this tarot reading, there's a lot of fire. And I swear I shuffled the cards, and this is how it came out. It came out with a lot of fire. Leo, we know how Leo is. It's the heart of a lion, But this Strength card is ill-dignified. And it's ill-dignified because Judgment was ill-dignified. And it also has the meaning of self-doubt, lacking courage, a lack of self-control, vanity. Leo's vanity, the Leo. Not that the person is a Leo, because I have no idea what the person's zodiac sign is, but we have what is it? He's showing signs of that vanity, that Leo vanity. Also letting fear and anxiety rule them. They're letting fear and anxiety rule them. And they're at the mercy of Pluto. Because Pluto is the detriment of Leo. Okay? And when that happens, they can become a wrecking ball and wreck good things in their lives. Because sometimes they can be cruel and sadistic, living in a negative fantasy or their own worldview and not opening up their mind and hearts to different experiences, because their own experience they take on and they think that's the way everything is. That's an ill-dignified strength card. I also see, like you see in the card, the woman shutting the mouth of the lion. Well, when it's positively dignified, she has no problem closing the mouth of that lion. But when it's ill-dignified, it's a person trying to shut another person up because they don't like what they hear. Sorry about that, guys. The third card is also fire, and it's also a Leo. It's I don't know if it's the first or second or third decan of Leo, but it is a Leo card. And it's the Seven of Wands. And because the first two cards were ill-dignified, the Seven of Wands is ill-dignified. And with the Seven of Wands, we see a man on top pushing back seven wands. Now, if it was to be positively dignified, this man would be fighting back the pressure or fighting back something that was bad. But this guy in here is fighting back six wands that are trying to help him. Instead of going along like in the Six of Wands where everything was smooth, he wants to push back because, like in the Strength card, we have the vanity, the fear, the anxiety, not wanting to be wrong, and just becoming a wrecking ball. Okay? But with the Seven of Wands, you have a little bit of ignorance and a perceived threat that is not even a threat. That's how it is. As you see the guy in the card, he feels like these six wands are a threat, but they're not. So he's fighting back the wands that are trying to help, being defensive. It's a struggle between them and society. Feelings of inferior, lack self-esteem, and replaces that self-esteem with fake, overly self-esteem. Okay? So this was the bottom of the deck, was the Chariot card. And with the Chariot, we have, as you see, he's in his Merkaba chariot, or his car. We could call it his car, his vehicle. And when it's positively dignified, this man in this chariot, he moves for love of all things, for harmony, because the two beasts there in front, he's got to keep them moving. He has no reins to even move the chariot. It's all through within. It comes from within to be able to move that vehicle. But when it's ill-dignified, there's a lack of direction. Aggression, trying to conquer but can't conquer because they're trying to conquer the outer instead of conquering the inner. And you have to conquer the inner before you can conquer anything from without you. That's not in your control. So, and sometimes if it's not in your control, you just got to let it go and let God or the universe take care of it, because it will be worked out. So some people can't do that. They focus on the outer instead of the inner. What everybody else is doing, what everybody else is doing wrong, instead of what they are doing wrong and how they can get themselves right. Because if you can't get your own self right, you can't move that vehicle. If you want love in your life, you got to be able to move that vehicle. You got to be able to conquer your inner self. Now, this Eight of Scepters was kind of like my oracle card, but of course, just like all of the cards are fiery, this Eight of Scepters is Eight of Wands in the Rider-Waite deck. Okay, and as you can see, that is fire too. I forgot to tell you that what was that? Water. Cancer. That's a Cancer, the Chariot, and that's water. So that was the only different element in the reading. So all that fire would just, there's no way the water can tame all the fire that's going on in the reading. And that's another reason why that Chariot is ill-dignified. I just forgot to tell you about that. But we're at the Eight of Scepters, which would be the Eight of Wands. And when the Eight of Scepters or the Eight of Wands is reversed, it has to do with jealousy. Jealousy. It says on it, I promise you calm seas. But what's the reverse of that? The seas aren't going to be very calm. The sea within inside, you know? The sea within inside. And I find it interesting that the 8 is right up underneath the 8 on the top, you see? There's the 8 major arcana. And of course, the fire is just out of control in this reading. And that person really needs to, how can I say, humble themselves. And there's another way I can say it. It's like sometimes you got to destroy yourself to rebuild yourself back up. And I think that's what this reading is saying, that this person needs to let down their guard and to be wrong sometimes. Sometimes to be wrong is to be right. Thank you for listening to my reading, and stay safe.